Everybody, it's a mic talk. It's a Tuesday. You're here at Song and Sword. We proclaim Jesus with the song of grace and the sword of truth. So glad that you guys are with me again. And this is our daily jaunt. If you're brand new to this, come back tomorrow. We'll have another devotion. And I pray that the Lord will give me strength and voice to do this until He comes back or I go to meet Him, whichever comes first. Hope you guys are doing well. Text prayer to that number on the screen because that's part of our ministry is to pray for you. Let us carry your burdens. Love you guys. Shout out to Jerry and Kathy Comer. Kathy, thank you for your encouragement Sunday. You guys watch this all the time, and it's amazing to me that people watch this. So it's not amazing, I suppose, because God does miraculous stuff. But blessings on you guys. I love you all. I'm going to kind of continue from Sunday's sermon. By the way, if you haven't heard it, go ahead and stay on this YouTube channel and listen to it, about this communion meal, the Lord's Supper. The house of the Lord is a place of remembering. And then I started thinking through all the scriptures, like yesterday's mic talk, and started going, there's a lot of meals in the Bible that are significant. And I'm going to go to Genesis chapter 18 today, a meal that Abram celebrated with the Lord's presence. And I'll explain some of this, but I need to set up the story, but then I need to get to the line that I want to share with you as you go through this Tuesday. But Genesis 18:1, the Lord appeared to him, talking about Abram, at the oaks of Mamre, as he sat at the door of his tent in the heat of the day. He lifted up his eyes, and he looked, and behold, there were three men were standing in front of him. And when he saw them, he ran to the tent door to meet them and bowed himself to the earth and said, O Lord, if I have found favor in your sight, do not pass by your servant. Let a little water be brought, and wash your feet, and rest yourselves under the tree, while I bring a morsel of bread that you may refresh yourselves. And after that you may pass on, since you have come to your servant. So they said, Do as you have said. And Abraham went quickly into the tent to Sarah and said, Quick, 3 seahs of fine flour, knead it, and make cakes. And Abraham ran to the herd and took a calf, tender and good, and gave it to a young man who prepared it quickly. Then he took curds and milk and the calf that he had prepared and set it before them, and he stood by them under the tree while they ate. So a couple things. These 3 men come to Abraham. He's sitting it's in the heat of the day. He's in his tent. He's obviously under these oaks of Mamre. It's one of the places he's settled, a place where there's lots of trees. So he's doing what he's surviving in the heat of the day, and he sees in the distance 3 men coming his way. Now, we don't know who these men are. They could be God in the flesh, taking on some flesh. They could be angels. Some people have proposed that this is Jesus incarnate before he was born into the world. We don't know exactly who these 3 guys are. We call them angels is the best thing to say, but they're called here 3 men. What we do know is Abraham understood that they were God because he addresses them as my Lord. And so he understands that they're representative of God, whoever they are, and whatever form God has taken here. Abraham understands this is the Lord speaking to me. And this is a cool insight. This is the meal, a very cool insight into the Middle Eastern practices, even to this day, of hospitality. You see what he did? He said, let me get some water, wash your feet. That's a sign, first of all, I'm here to serve you. Let me wash your feet, because they've been walking with sandals and dusty roads and stuff. And he says, let me get something. You rest yourselves here under the tree, and I'll make you a quick meal. So he makes them some bread, and he brings them some curds. Think of more like cheese. We have cheese curds around here, but think of, just almost solid cheese, right? Cottage cheese, not quite that, but so curds, cheese, and bread. And he goes and has a cow killed. I don't know if they made steaks out of this or what, but this calf that he brought, and he set it before them. And he stood by the tree while they ate. That was the hospitality thing. I've been many places before. Morocco sticks out in my mind, where the hospitality, the people who fix the food and their family stand there and watch you eat and make sure that you're fine. And only when you start getting full and saying, okay, we've had enough, thank you so much, then they will sit down and eat their meal. It's a very, very cool, humbling thing. But why were these 3 men there representing God? Verse 9, they said to him, "Where is Sarah, your wife?" And he said, "She's in the tent." And the Lord said, "I will surely return to you about this time next year, and Sarah, your wife, will have a son." And Sarah was listening at the tent door behind him. Now Abraham and Sarah were old, advanced in years. The way of women had ceased to be with Sarah. So Sarah laughed to herself, saying, "After I am worn out and my Lord is old, shall I have this pleasure?" The Lord said to Abraham, "Why did Sarah laugh and say, 'Shall I indeed bear a child now that I am old?'" And here's the verse for us today, verse 14, Genesis 18. Is anything too hard for the Lord? Is anything too hard for the Lord? This meal is a promise meal. Abraham is 99 years old now. He's been in the land since he's been 75. 24 years he's been wandering around. It's a hot day. He's sitting in his tent. These three guys representing God, angels perhaps, messengers is what the word angel means, comes to Abraham's tent. It says to him, "This time next year you're going to have a son." It's a promise meal. It's a meal that reminds us that God keeps his promises. They're not always as fast as we want them to be. They're not always the way we want them to be. They're not always, as we would have played it out. But here's the bottom line. These three men came representing the Lord. The Lord said, "Is anything too hard for me?" I know you're thinking today that your family may not ever be fixed. Your finances may not ever work. Your health may never be what you want it to be. But here's the word to take you through the day. I need some more coffee. I want to get this right. Here's what you need to think about all this Tuesday. There is a meal in the Bible where God promised, is anything too hard for the Lord? The answer, of course, is no, which means that God will keep all of his promises no matter what it looks like, no matter how it seems. He will keep his promises because nothing is too hard for the Lord. Take that into your Tuesday. Whatever's hard for you today, it's not too hard for God. Love you guys. Peace.